In December of 2024, a real estate agent in the Houston, Texas area sat down and filled out a camera confidence assessment. He scored a 97 out of 250, a 2 out of 10 for expressing his personality on video, a 1 out of 10 for reviewing his recordings and improving, a 2 out of 10 for following through on his publishing routines, and yet another 2 out of 10 for feeling emotionally prepared to be seen and judged online. But here's what made Thomas different from the thousands of people who fill out assessments like this and never do anything about it. In that same assessment, when asked about what camera confidence would unlock for him, he wrote this: more confidence across all social situations, establishing himself as one of the strongest realtors in the Houston area, more opportunities, more clients, business growth beyond what he thought was possible, security for his family, personal pride, and then at the very end, almost like a confession to himself, he wrote, I have realized I want and need to tap into the confident version of Thomas 24/7. And that line told me everything I needed to know. Thomas fits the profile of so many high performers that I work with, talented, passionate, and expert at his craft. He knows he's leaving opportunities on the table by not building out his personal brand with on-camera content. But his intellect and self-consciousness are working against him, talking himself into ruts of analysis paralysis, attempting to optimize for perfect conditions instead of good enough action. He had a gap between who he was professionally and who he was showing up as on camera. And that gap, that exact gap, is why this channel exists, so we can help to close that gap. This is the story of how Thomas went from a 2 to a 7 with his on-camera confidence and why he's not done yet. Before we get into the transformation, I want you to understand who Thomas actually is, because this is not just Thomas's story. This is the story of so many of you watching right now. Thomas is a real estate agent in the Houston, Texas area. Smart, kind, sincere. When you speak with Thomas, he's polite and eager to connect. When he gets comfortable, he has a sincerity and a personality that is truly magnetic. But put him in a room full of strangers and something shifts. By his own description, he's introverted at events due to insecurity, avoiding introducing himself, staying on his phone, or finding busy work until someone else breaks the ice. And on camera, that challenge is multiplied. A 2 out of 10 for expressing his personality on video. It's not because his personality wasn't there, it just is buried underneath the rubble of micro decisions, self-criticism, and the shallow tasks that keep him from actually getting started being on camera.
The crutch was that people that knew me personally would see this and they would judge me. They'd say, or they'd think to themselves that I'm silly, or just these weird thoughts that they would judge me for doing something that wasn't gonna be productive or dumb or just out of character for me. And that really, really kept me from doing it.
In Thomas's own words, I was so caught up worrying about what others thought of me making videos that in the end, I looked stiff, which made me even more in my head, and hitting record felt like a chore I kept putting off. He initially thought it was fear of judgment, but then he realized it was perfectionism driving everything. Being overly concerned with trying to make his content so perfect because he didn't feel qualified to start putting out on-camera content, which then that perfectionism feeds the fear of judgment, which creates more perfectionism, which produces more avoidance. The people who stay stuck cannot see the loop that they are putting themselves in. Thomas could see it, he just didn't know how to break it.
To be honest with you, I thought giving myself a 2 was generous. I was probably like a 1.5, 1.7. If it was a 2, it was a 2.1, no higher than a 2.2. I gave myself that because of lack of confidence in my ability to create videos, put out videos that people would watch and see as beneficial, lack of knowledge on the equipment, how to put a script together, how to even publish it. I didn't know anything. It was very green, and that led to a lot of insecurity in me. Instead of just ripping the Band-Aid off and going for it, I hid behind a lot of it had to be perfect or else it wasn't worth putting out. That was a narrative that I was feeding myself to keep myself from doing it and learning how to do it. Because if it wasn't going to be perfect, what was the point of putting it out? When in reality, it's learning how to do it is part of the process. And it was a part of the process that I was trying to skip to, I think maybe in order to protect my own ego or to avoid failing at something. Why not a 4 or 5? It's just because I was so green. I was so completely, utterly green. I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know the first thing of what settings to use on my phone to record the video. I knew nothing about the lights. I couldn't get the gimbal that I was using to work for the life of me. Like, I could not get it to work properly. So it just became frustration and being flustered. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to mail it in. I'm going to call it quits. And then luckily you helped me out and it got me going and just a completely different.
Here's what most YouTube content gets wrong about someone who struggles with camera confidence. They try to solve a psychological problem with a mechanical solution. YouTube has more gear tutorials and getting started guides than you could ever watch in a lifetime. And the content that does address mindset is based on theory, not real world application with real clients over real time. They may look at Thomas's assessment scores and prescribe a better system, upgraded equipment, or some AI tool that does it all for him. But those are tools of fulfillment. They treat the symptoms, lack of publishing, technical overwhelm, but they never address the root cause. Thomas's lowest scores were not in the technical categories. His equipment score was a 5. His setup score was an 8. Those were his strongest areas. Out of scores of 10, his lowest scores were in the psychological categories. A 2 for expressing his personality on video, a 2 for using his body language consciously, and another 2 for feeling emotionally prepared to be seen and judged online, and a 1 out of 10 for reviewing his recordings and improving. That last one is the most revealing and also the most common. Reviewing your recordings is the single fastest path to improvement. It is also one of the most painful experiences for a lot of people. It's a 5-minute habit, and Thomas was avoiding it completely, not because he was lazy, because watching himself back was just too uncomfortable to tolerate. Again, it's one of the most common sentiments I hear from clients. Most people equate watching themselves on video with the pain of root canal. This is what I call visibility threshold, the psychological ceiling below which someone cannot break through to access their most powerful camera confidence. It has everything to do with what psychologist Dr. Russ Harris describes in his book, The Confidence Gap, as private experiences. The emotions, memories, images, thoughts, and sensations that run on a loop inside the mind and the nervous system. In any combination, they are more than enough to keep even the most talented professionals from ever pressing record. Thomas knew how to set up a camera. Thomas knew what good content looked like. Thomas had the personality, the expertise, and the story. But these private experiences were so visceral, so potent that he would talk himself out of action and into self-consciousness every single time. As I always say, the camera is a magnifier. It did not create these patterns in Thomas, it just made them impossible to ignore.
Mine would be the fear of being judged by people that knew me, whether it be friends, whether it be family, acquaintances. My worry was being judged by those people. In my mind, I had this thought that I was gonna put a video out, everyone in the world was going to see it, and then it was gonna be all fingers pointing at me, laughing, because it looked terrible. It was a horrible product. Now in retrospect, it's quite the opposite. It's everyone that I've spoke to that's seen my videos has had nothing but praise. Said they're proud of me. They've been very complimentary of it and thought it was an awesome thing that I'm doing. So looking back on it with that on top, it just is even crazier to think.
I want to be honest about what coaching Thomas actually involved, because it was not what most people would expect. Clients always come in expecting to start with the fundamentals. They want to jump to the finish line. Studio setup, how to create videos, scripting frameworks, AI tools, lighting tutorials, the technical systems that are honestly plastered all over YouTube. But I always start somewhere different, on the foundational component that people overlook, but it's what builds true longevity when it comes to being on camera and building YouTube channels. I start by hearing their story, understanding how they were brought up, what their relationship with judgment looks like, where their self-consciousness comes from. This helps me understand their psychological makeup and their identity, where they are in the phases of camera confidence, and I run my own diagnostic on where they are most stuck. The majority of the time, my clients present the fundamentals and technical barriers as the problem, but as we peel back the layers, we start to realize that the psychological and self-limiting factors run much deeper than the technical. And that was exactly the case with Thomas. We didn't start with scripts or delivery techniques or lighting setups. We started with identifying the underlying psychological barriers, his perfectionism loop that Thomas had already self-identified. Just this incessant worry that everything needs to be perfect before he gets started, which, as we discussed, feeds the fear of judgment, which creates more and more perfectionism, which produces more avoidance. So it just keeps everything so stuck in this self-defeating loop. So the only way to break a loop like that is it's never to think your way out of it. It is to act your way out of it. We established his core values. We added weekly accountability with what I call taking forced action, which is homework items that require implementation if you want to continue being coached by me. So everything from interpersonal interactions, talking to strangers, studio setups, recording sessions that I audit his delivery. It's imperfect video after imperfect video. Each one is a deposit into the confidence account, so to speak. Each one is training his nervous system that the camera is not a threat. Each meeting, each assignment, each published video is proving to himself that he is capable of showing up consistently and building something he's proud of. And here's what Thomas told me in a coaching session that I want you to hear directly from him.
The first shift was listening to a podcast that you had suggested between Chris Hormozi and Chris Williamson. And it was almost like they were speaking to me because they addressed something that I brought up earlier, which was the fear of everyone seeing it, everyone judging me, and it being terrible. And when in reality, Hormozi says something along the lines of, when you're terrible at it, no one's going to see you doing it because the algorithm's not pushing it out there for people to see. So all of these are practice reps. And then by the time that I'm good at it and the algorithm's pushing it out to people, then I'm going to be good and they're going to see me being good. And that was really something that opened my eyes because it made me realize how silly my fear was, but at the same time reassured me that I could put videos together. I could do the things I needed to do to get practice without all eyes being on me. And this would allow me to develop my skills and hone my skills, sharpen my skills before everyone in the world saw it and judged me, which is completely crazy to think. There's a specific moment or realization where something clicked. There was a moment during one of my early videos, I can't remember which one, but I was going through the script, following it to a T, which is what I typically do. And then I don't know if it was the first or second take. I'm pretty sure it was the second take where I had felt more comfortable. Everything was rolling for me. And I just thought on the fly, of a line that I thought would be funny and fit in and kind of lighten the mood of the video. So I threw it in there. And then after that, it just kind of started to flow more naturally. It became easier for me to go off the cuff and be more me instead of just a script on the videos. For me, the first sign that it wasn't just motivation was realizing that I actually enjoyed putting the scripts together and recording them. That was the big thing for me. I wasn't just doing it to go through the steps and put the content out there and just tossing it onto the internet for people to see. I was actually enjoying the process of putting the videos together, fine-tuning it, knowing that I can do better here or there, and just really, really sharpening my skills in all aspects of it. And then a little bit after that, I realized that it wasn't just motivation when one night there wasn't much going on around the house and my wife and I were just kind of hanging out, had TV on, and I caught myself looking at other YouTube channels and not scrolling it just to waste time and kill my brain, but to study and see what they did that I could do to implement into my channel, video ideas, things along those lines. And ever since then, it's just stuck, and it's become something that I really, really do enjoy doing and look forward to every day.
He said, "It is the same thing Austin taught me. Just keep doing the videos. They are going to get better. Stop trying to shoot for the perfect one from the jump and just keep hammering them." And that came from Thomas, not from me. Thomas was diagnosing his own process out loud. That is what happens when the work begins to compound. Now, to go along with what Thomas has said, I want to talk more about what he mentioned has changed, because he just puts it in better words than I ever could. In his written Google review, in his own words, without any coaching on what to say, Thomas wrote this: "Before working with Austin, I kept finding reasons to put it off. I wanted to do it. I bought the setup, but I could not pull the trigger. I leaned hard on not being a tech guy as my excuse, convinced the technology was too complicated and was a legitimate reason to wait. On top of that, that fear of being judged by the people closest to me reassured me that I should not get started. Those two things together kept me stuck longer than I want to admit." He then wrote, "Austin helped me work through both. He simplified my systems to the point where the tech excuse just disappeared. There was nothing left to hide behind. And on the mindset side, he helped me reframe how I was thinking about fear of judgment in a way that actually stuck. Not in a fluffy motivational poster kind of way, in a way that was built for and resonated with me." And then the line that gave me a genuinely proud coaching moment when I read it was this: "Now I'm not just posting, I'm showing my videos to my friends, my family, everybody. This is a complete 180 from where I was." From a 2 out of 10 for expressing his personality on video to now showing his videos to everybody he knows. But what really makes Thomas's story different from a typical transformation case study is what he said when I asked him where he rates himself today. Thomas said, "Honestly, I would say I started at about a 2, maybe even a 2.5 if I'm being generous with myself. Today, I would put myself at a solid 7, pushing toward an 8 on a good day. The biggest thing that has changed, and this shocks me because it is so outside of the realm of who I am, is that I actually look forward to filming now. That felt impossible to imagine when we first started. It went from being something I dreaded and ended up shelving all the equipment I bought to something that feels like part of who I am and what I am building." And then he said something that I think is the most powerful line in this entire story. "Where I am still working, and I will be honest about this, is consistency. Some days I show up and it flows. Other days it feels like someone pulled a pin on a grenade and tossed it to me. It can still feel a little mechanical." And that honesty is exactly what phase 2 of the camera confidence journey is gonna feel like. And the fact that Thomas can name it, own it, and keep showing up anyways, that's the real work in progress. That is what separates the committed from the hobbyist. This is not a finished transformation. It is a transformation in progress in real time. But that's what makes it so real and raw.
Now I realize that I can do it. I can absolutely 100% grow my business and change my future, my family's future through video creation and content creation. I now know that I can absolutely be that person. When I thought it was for other people that had to have a very specific type of personality that I never had because I was shy and reserved and quiet, I thought that was great for them, but it would never work for me. And now I completely realize that I 100% can do that, and I am going to do that, and it's gonna be the best thing ever.
I want to be clear about something before we close. Thomas is not an outlier. He is not uniquely gifted or uniquely motivated. He is an expert in his field, a professional real estate agent in Houston who was scared of the camera, who bought all the equipment, but could not bring himself to use it. Sound familiar? What made Thomas's transformation possible was not some revolutionary technique or this super secret coaching framework. It was unearthing components of himself and helping him see the one decision that he needs to make consistently. Show up before you feel ready. Make imperfect videos, hit publish, and improve incrementally. And then we take forced action and do it again the following week. It's the aggregation of marginal gains. Each video gets just 1% better. Thomas put it exactly right when he said, the shift was not one big moment either. It was gradual, little by little, progress each week. It built confidence not just on camera, but also in person. I stopped caring so much about how I looked or whether every word was perfect. And that is when things started to loosen up naturally. This is the early work of the 3 phases of camera confidence unfolding in real time. Working through phase 1 and 2 with Thomas. Phase 1, breaking through exposure, and phase 2, competence building. Helping his nervous system to get retrained 1 rep at a time. Thomas also told me something that I think about every time I work with my new clients. He said, if it were not for you, I would still have this equipment, sitting in a corner and probably not made anything yet. The camera, the gear, the potential, all sitting in some corner waiting for the right moment that never comes. Do not let that be you.
If someone with my personality is able to get to a point where I can sit down, confidently make videos and push them out, I know you can do it too. 100%. Austin is the guy that can help you do that, do it confidently, do it amazingly, and have a growing, thriving business because you followed his guidance. Just hold tight and do it.
Now, we've heard a lot from Thomas, but I just have to end on what he left in his written Google review. If you were sitting on the fence the way I was, using tech or fear or whatever your excuse is, do yourself a favor and stop waiting. Austin is the real deal and it completely changed the trajectory of my life. If you were sitting on the fence the way I was, using tech or fear or whatever your excuse is, do yourself a favor and stop waiting. Austin is the real deal and has completely changed the trajectory of my life. Now, this sounds like some self-promotion, grandiose gesture for my own capabilities, but I'm trying to highlight is Thomas's own self-realization of his limiting beliefs, okay? I didn't coach him or prompt him on saying any of this. I gave him the Google review and I'm like, I want it to be totally your words, unprompted, like be honest, and that's what he wrote. So I'm truly honored to be part of his camera confidence journey and to help him play my small part in the work that he really did on himself. I just gave him the proper frameworks and a bit of a nudge out of the comfort nest. But this is all Thomas. It's the same Thomas who scored 97 out of 250 on a camera confidence assessment, writing unprompted about his complete 180. And when I asked him recently where he is at this time, he closed with this. With 100% confidence, I can finally say I am working on something that I know is going to be successful. It still blows my mind considering just a few months ago, I was too petrified to hit record. The critical takeaway of the video is this: the camera is not the obstacle. The gap between who you already are and who you are showing up as, that is the gap, that's the obstacle. Thomas is closing that gap, not because he was special, but because he was willing to be coachable, to keep an open mind, and to show up imperfectly and consistently before he felt ready. That is the whole system, and it is available to you right now. If you want to get your own exact measurement of where you are in your camera confidence journey and what to focus on first, join Creator Legion for free. It's in the link in the description. Inside, you're going to find out exactly how you can work with me directly for your own personalized camera confidence assessment. And be sure to subscribe for weekly frameworks on camera confidence, creative marketing, and the psychology of showing up powerfully in your work and in your life. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.